check out our streaming schedule for this week. We've got tons of content in terms of the NFL and college football, as we're going live just about every single day this week. So make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single moment where we go live. And now, on with our feature presentation. October 31st, 2024. It's Halloween. It's week 9 of the NFL season. And on this Friday night, we head to the Meadowlands for this AFC battle between the Houston Texans and the New York Jets. 60 years ago, we were wondering whatever happened to the Transylvania Twist. And now, we're wondering whatever happened to the Houston Texans. Yes, they enter this game with a 6-2 record, but they have not looked even the slightest bit convincing in the process while winning these games. Here was a chance in front of a national audience with somebody watching them to prove that this season would not devolve into a nightmare on my street over the second half, which, spoiler alert, did not turn out to be true at all. As to say the Texans played well would be like saying that Casper was an unfriendly ghost. But before we dive into the critical mistake that Houston made at the end of this game, just know that on this channel, there are no tricks. It's all treats, as we talk every single day about the weird and the wacky history of the NFL, with new videos all the time, including videos about dumb things that coaches do, like what DeMeco Ryans did during the game between these two teams behind me right here. So if you like that sort of stuff, then be sure to hit that like button down below, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single video that we post on the channel. Thanks in advance for your support as we try and hit 70,000 subscribers. With under 2 minutes left in the game, the Texans actually trailed the Jets 21-10. Even though the Jets had lost 5 straight games and looked like one of the most hapless teams in football as of late. Still, Houston had the ball, and for picking up a critical 4th down, they had it at the 24-yard line with about 1:20 left. Alright, you need 2 scores, so you can either kick the field goal now and save some time, or go for the touchdown. Head coach DeMeco Ryans and company decide to go for the touchdown. While the Texans are getting some yards, they're taking some time off the clock, and after 7 plays following getting to the 24, they made virtually no progress, as they find themselves facing 3rd down at the 11-yard line, following what felt like the millionth sack of the game on CJ Stroud. Now, it's 3rd down. Let's see what the Texans have lined up here. You're kicking the field goal? On 3rd down? You've come this far and wasted this much time, and you're kicking the field goal now? Why are you kicking the field goal now? For the love of the great pumpkin, Charlie Brown, why are you kicking the field goal?
Game onside kick would come after that if he makes it, which he does, so it's 21.
Alright, but now you still need points, and if you don't recover the onside kick, which we all know you won't, the game is over, so good job. You really screwed yourself over there for no reason.
It's like this, and the bouncing ball will be stopped by Adams, so there it is.
Welcome to Dumb Decisions. Before I break down what happened here, this whole series is about taking an in-depth look at decisions made during games that were clearly awful from the start. This isn't something look bad in hindsight. Rather, this is something look awful almost immediately. These are moves where your gut instinct tells you right away that there is no way this can possibly work. And sure enough, your gut instinct was smarter than that of an NFL head coach. And for this one, we're taking a look at the mind of Houston Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans. I don't want to say that the Texans are in any trouble by any means, because the division that they play in is absolute crap, and they basically have that thing on lockdown barring a historic collapse. But man, they are not playing good football at all. CJ Stroud has regressed a little bit. The team has suffered a ton of injuries. The offensive line might be the worst in football. Bobby Slowick went from a solid offensive coordinator to one of the most predictable guys out there. And DeMeco Ryans, who was very good at in-game management last year, has made some questionable decisions this year, none of which were more puzzling than this one. I'm not sure what he was trying to achieve by kicking the field goal, and even when we break it down and go through the scenarios, it will make even less sense than it did in real time, because however dumb you think it was, I promise you, it's even dumber than that. So with that being said, let's take a look at why kicking a field goal on 3rd down with 42 seconds left when you're down by 11 points is a really bad idea. The moment that the Texans got to the 24-yard line with roughly 1:20 left, there were 2 things that Houston could have done. Both had their pros and cons, but both were highly viable strategies. Either way, you need to score twice. You need to get a touchdown with a 2-point conversion, and you need to get a field goal. It's not going to be easy, but there are 2 ways you can get this order to go down. The field goal and then the touchdown, or vice versa, with the touchdown and then the field goal. If you go for the touchdown first with a 2-point conversion, the pro is that you know exactly what you need on the second drive. You know whether you need to reach the end zone and drive the length of the field again, or if you are able to just settle for 3 points. The con, however, is that you likely kill a ton of time off the clock, which makes it so that you have to recover the onside kick. If you don't recover the onside kick, the game is over, as you won't have enough timeouts whatsoever in order to stop the clock and get the ball back from the Jets. Then, there's option 2, which is to go for the field goal with 1:20 left, and then try and get the touchdown with a 2-point conversion second. This also has its pros and cons, and is an incredibly viable strategy. The con seems rather obvious. You don't walk away with the touchdown, and you have no idea what you need to do on the second drive. If you score the touchdown first and then make or miss the 2-point conversion, you at least know what you need on drive 2. However, if you kick the field goal and then get the touchdown, not getting the 2-point conversion ends the game. Plus, you already drove that far down the field in the first place, so to settle for 3 and then have to do it all over again? Not great. Instead of needing to get 24 yards and then about 20 more following the onside kick to try a field goal, you need to get somewhere in the ballpark of 55 yards. However, the pro is that you can get the ball back even if you don't recover the onside kick. The onside kick, as we all know, is a super low percentage play, and especially with today's rules, the likelihood of you recovering the onside kick is about the same as the likelihood of going to a Halloween party where Thriller doesn't play. If you kick the ball with 1:20 left, you have 2 timeouts. If you get a 3 and out, obviously your odds aren't going to be good by any means, as you'll have to drive the length of the field or thereabout in order to find the end zone. But you'll get the ball back with about 20 seconds left. Obviously, I'm not saying you win the game, but at least you give yourself some leeway, however slim and marginal it is, if you fail to recover the onside kick. So there's 2 prevailing strategies that you could have gone with at the 1:20 mark. And if DeMeco Ryans, this man right here, picked one of these strategies, I would not have hated it. Personally, I would have gone for the touchdown first. Maybe I go for the field goal first if it's a 10-point game, but in an 11-point game, I definitely want to know whether I need a field goal or a touchdown on drive number 2 should I get the ball back. We've seen coaches go for the touchdown first, and we've seen coaches like Jaguars head coach Doug Peterson in the 2022 divisional round game against Kansas City go for the field goal first. However, for some inexplicable reason, the man you've been watching this whole time, DeMeco Ryans, picked a third option that left him completely screwed and made it a true worst of both worlds scenario. Nothing about what Ryans did here made any sense, and it defied all prevailing logic and wisdom in this spot. If Ryans kicked the field goal on 4th down, I'm not going to hate on it, obviously. But 3rd down? What purpose does kicking the field goal on 3rd down do here with about 40 seconds left and 1 timeout? The reason you go for the field goal first, the only reason you go for the field goal first, is because you want to have some time and some wiggle room if you don't recover the onside kick. Well, by kicking the field goal here with 40 seconds left and a timeout, if you don't recover the onside kick afterwards, guess what? The game is over. The game is freaking over. The Jets get the ball back, and they can just take a knee. And if you do recover the onside kick, you now need to drive a solid 55 yards without knowing whether his touchdown drive can tie the game, because if you miss the 2-point conversion, the game is over. You have to do more work from a yardage standpoint by kicking the field goal. We're assuming that the onside gets recovered at the 45. At the 24-yard line, if you try to score the touchdown and you get it, and then you recover the onside kick, and you need to get somewhere close to the 43-yard line to try a field goal, you need to pick up roughly 37 yards across the 2 drives. But by doing this, you need to pick up 55 yards on the next drive. You're doing more work, 18 yards more work, mind you, for no reason. All while forgetting that the only reason they kick the field goal in this spot before 4th down is so that you have enough time to get the ball back and get another possession if you don't get the onside kick, which literally does not apply here because there is not enough time left in the contest and you only have 1 timeout to work with. I'll give you an example of what Ryans did here. It's almost like if you're taking a test, and the test has two parts. It has a short answer part, and it has a multiple choice section. Some people decide to start with a multiple choice. The pro is that answers here could help you on the short part, while the con is that if you take too long, you won't have a lot of time to write thorough answers for the short answer. Some people decide to start with the short answer part. The pro is that if you take too long there, you can just circle in random letters and choices for the multiple choice and still have a chance of getting it right. While the con is that you can absolutely lose track of the time while writing an answer for one of the questions. There's no right or wrong way to do it. I've done both on law school examinations, depending on what I was feeling. However, what Ryan's decided to do was bounce between the two, writing down one sentence at a time for the short answer part before doing a multiple choice question, meaning that he would lose his train of thought on the short answer, and he would waste valuable time flipping back and forth between the test booklet. Nothing about the logic that Ryan's employed here made any sense. Why not call a play on third down to try and pick up the first down and get the touchdown? What do you honestly have to lose? If it's inbounds, you have to call a timeout. So what? You don't have enough anyways to stop the clock if you give it back to the Jets. If it doesn't work out, you can just kick the field goal on fourth down. If you score a touchdown, obviously, that's great. Outside of the usual risk involved with something like this, there was nothing whatsoever that was risky about trying a play on third down. If you kicked it on first down, fine. If you tried a play and it didn't work and you kicked it on fourth down, also fine. But you chose quite literally the one thing that you couldn't do, and you tried to combine two scenarios and came up with a thought process that made no sense, because it not only required more work from a yardage standpoint on your end, but it didn't change the fact of what you needed to do on drive number 2, and it didn't change the fact that if you didn't recover the onside kick, the game would be over. Naturally, after the game, DeMeco Ryans explained his thought process behind this decision. So take a listen to what he had to say after the game about whatever the heck this was.
What was kind of like the thought process, that last drive you guys had, CJ gets the ball to round the Jets 25, you guys still have 2 timeouts, a minute 20 left. What kind of went into trying to still score instead of, possibly kicking the field goal with a chance to kick off and still have those 2 timeouts to utilize?
We're that close, and we're in their territory that close. We want to try to do everything we can to try to score there and then save some time there to try to get an onside kick and then go down and, kick the field goal. So.
But again, that doesn't answer the question of why you kicked it on third down. It explains why you didn't kick it on first down, but it doesn't explain why you kicked it on a down when you didn't have to. You only told half the story. Isn't that logic highly contradictory? You're that close, so you want to try and do everything you can to score a touchdown there. But apparently, trying to do everything means bypassing a down when you could have tried for a touchdown? Apparently, trying to do everything to score a touchdown means kicking the ball on third down. A down where you don't turn it over if you don't get to the sticks. Unless he thought this was Canadian football for some reason, which honestly might be the only reasonable explanation. It's like saying on a par 4 that I want to do everything I can to reach the green and 1 off the tee. So I pull out my 9-iron. You get the contradiction there, right? You see why this doesn't make any sense, right? Apparently, not for DeMeco Ryans. Not for DeMeco freaking Ryans. And the game between these two teams behind me right here really showcased and highlighted just how bad Houston had been playing as of late, even despite their 6-3 start. This is DeMeco Ryans' first appearance ever on Dumb Decisions. Now, I did get a lot of comments about why he wasn't on for the Texans-Packers game a few weeks ago. If you remember that game, the Texans had the ball deep in Green Bay territory. It was 3rd and 15. The Packers had 1 timeout left. It was inside 2 minutes. And the Texans decided to throw the ball. The pass fell incomplete, and the Packers were able to save their timeout. I personally didn't have a problem with that decision. Now, if the Packers had no timeouts, different story. But with 1 timeout, doesn't really make a huge difference considering the fact there was still 1:40 left on the clock, and that's plenty of time for Jordan Love and company to do something. So he was off the hook for that one. But this one, this decision against the Jets, no excuses whatsoever. None at all. All I know is that the Texans really need to get their act together, because if they don't anytime soon, they're not going to be formidable contenders in the AFC. I know that much. So what do we learn from all of this? If there is a binary option of things that you can do, in all likelihood, it's a binary option for a reason. Do not try and mix and match to create a third option, because there's probably a reason that no one does this option. When you try to combine two things, you end up with one thing that's significantly worse. If you want to score the touchdown to try and get something down that close, then do that. If you want to kick the field goal to score quickly and get the ball back even without recovering the onside kick, then do that. But don't do both when you do not have to. Do not kick the ball on third down after wasting all that time. Do not give yourself more work than is necessary from a yardage standpoint and a scoring standpoint when you do not have to. And if there's something strange in your neighborhood when it comes to in-game management, call me, because I ain't afraid of telling it like it is and telling coaches when they absolutely stink in that spot. Because when all these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision. Be sure to like and subscribe if you have not done so already, as it helps the channel out a lot. And check out my other channels, JG8 for the history of college football, JG7 for the history of baseball, and JG9 News, where we talk about all things happening in the NFL. Join me every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, where we'll play live NFL trivia for cash prizes. And make sure to join me live, as we're on stream just about every single day. And thanks to all our Patreon members and our YouTube members for helping out the channel. See how you become a member and show your support financially in the description down below.